It's just me and an empty space that's supposed to be my sister. Whoa, what the hell is that? I am no longer alone. There appears to be a dancing skull. And there she is with her skull. What is that?
It's actually it's a little lantern. You put a little electric candle in the top of it, and
Ann Brothers, who has all things related to Halloween, all gadgets, all stuffs.
Yeah, so it's like a little figurine, and it has a little lantern, and it's so cute. He's like, he's got a present for you. Look, it's your birthday, and I have a flower for you.
As you can see, we have entered Ann's most favorite time of the year, and Spooktoberfest is a 100% reflection of that. So good job, Ann Brothers. Way to represent. I also love your crown today.
Why, thank you. It was this silly little like bouquet thing I bought. And it was like, why are you buying that? I had a gift certificate. I was like, because I like it, but I don't know what to do with it. And then last year I was like, I was going to be Frida Kahlo for Halloween. And I was like, oh, I need something for my hair. And I was like, and then I saw the bouquet and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm turning that into a headpiece. So
nice.
It's amazing what you can do with glue and thread and a headband and a $2 headband.
Did somebody work in the costume shop when she was at Eastern Michigan University in the theater department from time to time?
From time to time, Jenny, I just love, me. My true medium is glitter glue, and
True.
if you just give me a couple of pieces of crap, I can turn it into something. It may not be something you like, but I can make it into something. So.
Yes, that is a true statement. Not only can you make it into something, but you can transform it into something newer and better.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I love that for you. So,
me too.
That's awesome.
Me too.
So here we are. Look how early it is. Look, we're both in our jammies. I have my coffee in my Donkers mug because it's my favorite.
I have my chai latte, oat and honey from Agricole. Thank you, Agricole, for making. Because they don't make, it's not sweet at all. They make their own like mix, and you can add honey to it if you want. I always add just a little bit of honey, but it's nice and spicy and good. So good. Sometimes chais are too sweet, but we make our own at Agricole. So.
So there you go. If you're in the Chelsea area, stop by Agricole and get you a chai.
A chai.
A chai latte. Very good. Yes. So the reason we're doing a 9 a.m. on a Sunday show is because that's when we could fit it in this week. So there you go. We got lots going on, stuff happening.
We do.
It's been a full weekend, and it's going to continue to be a full weekend, but that's okay. So yes, we are. For those of you joining us today, welcome. Happy Sunday. We are halfway through, well, a little more than halfway through Spooktoberfest. So, and I think it's going very well. So today we're going to talk to you about haunted history tours, and specifically we're going to be focusing today on the Eloise Asylum Haunted History Tour, which we went on yesterday. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about haunted stuff because we're kind of easing our way into next week where we have ghost story cocktail hour. So that's gonna be fun too. I look forward to that. All right. So with that said, should we get into it, Ann Brothers?
Yeah, let's do it. We have lots to talk about.
It is a true statement. Hang on, I gotta take this thing down first. That's gotta come off. I did that. Let's bring this onto the stage. There it is. All right. So yes. This is the haunted. So we're going to talk about our Eloise history tour from yesterday. And then we're going to talk about some other really great history tours that we've done, been on, went on, things that you should think about before you're choosing your haunted history tour. Because if you're really going to celebrate Spooktoberfest, a haunted history tour is a great way to do that. So there you go. We are adding our 2 cents into that. Yes. All right. So let's jump into this, Ann. Take us through it.
All right. So we are Ann and Genise brothers. We're sisters. Our last name is Brothers. And it's not spooky, it's spoopy. So I learned that word last year because spooky might indicate that it's super scary, but spoopy is Halloweeny, but not scary. So we are not spooky, we're spoopy. So we're Halloween, but we're not scary Halloween.
So which Gen Zer who has anxiety issues came up with that word?
I'm trying not to judge. But I was like, okay, fair enough. We have several friends in our lives who do not like horror movies, or do not like to be scared. So I guess, fair enough. I would never recommend Hereditary to Chip, that is not
Absolutely
spooky.
not.
But at the same time, he loves Death Becomes Her, which is more spoopy than spooky.
That's a fun movie. It really
Yeah, and
is.
that's a fun
So,
movie.
yeah.
So I guess it's a good way to say to somebody, "Hey, this is um lightly scary, but it's not going to it's not going to traumatize you cuz Hereditary
Like
will traumatize you."
Yes, so you're thinking like Hocus Pocus.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. Here's your, it's like, some people, I work with a woman who is like super into horror. We talk about horror all the time. The first time I worked with her, I wore a Sam shirt from Trick or Treat. And she's like, okay, you're cool. And then I have other people that I work with that couldn't be less interested in it. And if they get it like a heads up, I'm like, okay, so if you're afraid that our Spooktoberfest will be too scary, let me assure you that Jenny and I are more spoopy than spooky.
that is true.
Mhm.
That is a true statement. So,
And the
yeah.
funny thing is, Jenny, when I typed it in, it actually didn't try to correct me. So it's actually a word now.
Okay, so
See,
that's a thing.
that's
There
a
you
thing.
go. Google
Okay,
says it's a
so
word. It's a word.
it's a
So,
word.
there you go.
So, not being Gen Z, Jenny and I are Gen X, which means we do have an edge. We're not spooky, but we do have an edge. In
Mm,
fact, we grew up being raised. We grew up with the idea that somebody was going to put razor blades or poison in our Halloween candy. There used to
yes.
be like police stations would do X-rays of your candy, and this isn't funny, but a fact about that is only one child has ever died from poisoned Halloween candy, and it was actually his father who poisoned a pixie stick so that he could collect the insurance.
It's fucking dark, dude.
Yeah, so you don't have to be afraid of strangers. You got to be afraid of your parents.
That tracks. I get that.
Yeah, so I thought that was very interesting. We have this whole, because once upon a time, Halloween was all about homemade treats, and now it's all moved to industrial treats because it's safer. So, isn't that funny? Yeah,
That
so
says something when you trust corporate greed over your neighbor. So,
over your neighbor.
yeah,
Exactly. And
okay.
when we talk about spreading our candy on the floor or on the carpet when we got home, it was so our parents could go through it and make sure that nothing had been tampered with.
That is true. And then the best part was that if there were things that could be tampered or looked like they might have been tampered with,
Mhm.
out they went.
Out they
So,
went.
yeah, we didn't
Exactly.
get the home like because there was like a family that always did like popcorn balls and stuff. Nope, we
Mhm.
never got those. Those went straight in the garbage. So
Yep.
sorry, popcorn ball family.
Yeah, those probably would have been really good. Um,
Probably popcorn balls are good. So hard
yeah,
to eat, but still good.
but still good. Yeah, but you got young teeth, and if they fall out, it doesn't matter because you're losing them anyway.
And Tooth Fairy.
And Tooth Fairy. So anyway, yeah. So that is a myth that Jenny and I. It was not just a myth. It was a a hysteria. It was a hysteria we were raised with. We were raised with
Halloween
lots of
hysteria.
hysterias, but that was one
Yes.
of them. That was one
Yes.
of them, and it turns out it was never true. Nobody ever got. There's no documentation anywhere because if there actually was a true story of this, it would be all over the news every Halloween. But there's no action. This is the only documented case of a child being poisoned by Halloween candy, and it was his dad. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so
So
having said that, we talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff, and any combination of the three. Jenny and I, we are not cool, hip, or sexy. And if you saw us eating lunch yesterday, you
oh
would
God.
agree. we are
Oh
not
no.
We are not cool, hip, or sexy, but we will take you to visit fun places and then we'll get lunch afterwards. So, wouldn't you rather have that? Wouldn't you rather have friends that did that instead of trying to be cool, hip, or sexy?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. So we're not a true crime, even though I did just give you some true crime facts. We're not a true crime celebrity or influencer podcast. Jenny, we are the haunted history tour of podcast. You will learn, laugh, and have some fried cheese balls.
Very large fried cheese balls that
Yes.
require 2 hands to eat.
2 hands. And you might get a little scared, but only in a spoopy way.
Yes, but you
Um,
won't regret it. Well, you might regret it a little bit, but not that much.
you will regret it, but it won't stop you.
No, no, the regret
Mhm.
won't be that hard. Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
We've been told we're good to listen to when you want to learn things about stuff and maybe get a little scared. Just a little bit, though. This podcast is not GPG or even PG-13 because we finally got to see the inside of fucking Eloise Asylum. I have been waiting. I'm not
yay.
exaggerating when I say I've been waiting for 35 years to get inside this building.
Yeah, yeah.
So join us on our website, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon Music. You can like us, follow us, hit the bell, leave a review, answer our questions, take some polls. You can ask Alexa. She'll play us. She's spoopy too.
Spoopy Alexa. I love that.
Spoop. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Spooky.
You can be spoopy with the people you love by telling them to follow us. Like, subscribe, leave a review on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. You don't have to do anything to support us. All you got to do is those things. You don't have to give us any money. Look, and Liz Williams is
Yes.
with us. Next time you're both up here, take a tour of the TC State Hospital. Yes. The answer is yes. I bet you that
Jenny,
would
I
be cool
have
too.
done that. I did it a couple years ago. Duncan and I went about Thanksgiving time. Talk about a great history tour. And then of course and they have some ghost stories, but you get to go into some of the old buildings that haven't been remodeled yet. It is a
Cool.
very good history tour.
Mm.
Thank you, Liz. But I was thinking that yesterday that Jenny, we need to go up to Traverse City so we could do that together because I would do it again in a heartbeat. And Liz, you should come with us. And then we should go get lunch. And Kylie should come too.
I agree.
Mhm.
Accurate. Agree. Um, co-signing on that loan. Okay,
I was
good.
gonna say,
Awesome.
are you gonna co-sign, Jenny? Are you giving me
I'm
a
co-signing on
co-sign
that.
on that?
Co-signer. Yep, good. Hey, let's talk about the smart, dumb, fun stuff that happened this week. And I'm gonna let you go ahead and start it because you got the picture. You got the
Well,
picture.
one, it's raining, and we haven't had rain in weeks, and now it's raining, and everything. It's so funny because we have one big tree in our backyard, and it's been losing leaves, but it hasn't looked like it's lost leaves. But this morning, it looks like it's like about half of its leaves are down. But man, oh, it's so. I have my porch door open, my upstairs porch door open, just so I can hear the rain. So yay for
I feel
rain.
like we got
Um,
all of the rain that we didn't get in September and October. We got last night. It
yeah,
rained. It was
yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some hard rain and it's going to rain all day today. And then I also want to thank my friend Dawn for my amazing Pusheen unicorn backpack. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, both form and function. And the nice thing is it's big enough to hold my phone, my glasses, and my wallet. Everything that I need to be a modern, sensible woman with my Pusheen unicorn backpack. This was a birthday present from my friend Dawn. Thank you. I love it.
Feel like that checks every Ann Brothers box. Number A, it's a backpack. Number B,
Mm-hmm,
it's Pusheen, and number
mm-hmm.
C, it's a unicorn.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
Mm-hmm,
that checks all of the Ann Brothers
mm-hmm.
boxes. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well done, Don.
If I was 4 years old and I had gotten this as a 4-year-old, I would have been apoplectic with joy. I mean, I
You'd
probably
have
would have
slept in
died
it.
right then and there because I'd be like, oh, all how could it get any better? All of my life dreams have been fulfilled as a 4-year-old. So
I get that. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah,
if it
you would
had
have
a
literally just
yeah, and if it had like
pick,
a Milky Way or a Reese's peanut butter cup inside, I'd been like, that's all I need. That's all I need. Thank you.
picture in that 4-year-old Ann's mind. So,
Mm-hmm.
what was
Yeah.
important and what you want.
Yeah. And it
Nicely
hasn't
done.
changed that much.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for me, I had lots to think about. I couldn't sort my thoughts this week when it came to what was my smart, dumb, fun thing. So I kind of did a little bit of everything. I went with the dumb first. I was contemplating the death of MTV. So
Mm-hmm.
it was announced this week that MTV will be closing operations by the end of the year. Paramount's shut it down, which I don't think is, in the sense that MTV is no longer relevant. It hasn't been relevant in a long time. I'm going to say 10 to 15 years. There's the millennials that I was talking to one of my millennial friends yesterday, and they're like, like in the early 2000s, with the Carson Daly thing and MTV Live, and I can't remember what it was called because I didn't watch it then. But for you and I, and brothers, as Gen Xers, you know, MTV defined our teen years. It
Mm-hmm.
really did. From say, oh, I don't know, age 11 and 12, all the way through high school. It was a
Mm-hmm.
really big deal. Music television was brand new, videos were a thing. And so, in terms of shaping pop culture, MTV shaped pop culture for 15 years in
Mm-hmm.
this country. It did, and
Yeah, and
basically, I'm going to say 82 through say 97, it really did shape pop culture. And it's a quick reminder of how fast things can change and
mm-hmm.
how what really killed MTV was social media. All of a sudden, YouTube and social media and Instagram and all of these things really just sort of subverted all that. You didn't need to have a place to go and see videos anymore. And MTV kind of did it to themselves because instead of playing, music that got so far away from music, um, that it just lost it lost the thread, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it reminds me of that, you know, uh, what is going to replace social media? Because we're like, oh, nothing could replace MTV, nothing could replace Blockbuster,
Mhm.
but they all got replaced. So what's going to replace social media? That's what it makes me think.
Cool. Yes, Liz Williams, Waiting for the Clock to Hit when they played Thriller.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, Jenny and I, when we were 11 and 12, we took a trip to California with our parents. And when we got out to my Uncle Norman and Aunt Barbara's house, they had MTV because you couldn't get it in Sturgis yet. So literally, when we weren't out doing things, Jenny and I were planted in the guest bedroom watching MTV. And I was just like, the Police's Synchronicity album had come out that summer, and just, all of these videos. They pretty much played the same thing over and over again, but man, we did not care an ounce. We were just glued in front of that TV watching music, thinking it was the coolest thing ever. What could ever, again, like the Pusheen bag, what could ever top it? So there you go.
Well, what I thought was interesting is that it changed the way you thought about music. So,
Uh-huh.
like when I hear a song, my brain immediately goes to the video. So,
Mm-hmm.
like the video that I couldn't get out of my head from that summer was Eurythmics' "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This" because it was so weird. That video was
Mm-hmm.
so weird. You're like, this doesn't make any sense, and I love it. What does this have to do with the song? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
So
it's like and yet you wanted the videos to be like that because if it was videos of just somebody standing and singing, it was boring.
it was
So,
boring. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
you
You're like,
wanted the video to tell a story no matter how weird the story was.
exactly. So it was funny because they got a lot of directors who directed commercials to do music
Mhm.
videos because they were good about they knew how to tell a story in a super short period of time. So a lot of the first music video directors were actually commercial directors. So I thought that was interesting.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
and real quick, what is your favorite music video of all time?
Oh
I'm gonna put you on
man.
the spot. I know.
Okay, well, I loved Hungry Like the Wolf. It was so sexy. But then I
Good
also
one.
loved Aha's Take on Me, which
Nice.
was revolutionary at the time. So,
Yes.
mhm.
For me, Love is a Battlefield, Pat Benatar,
Pat
because it
Benatar.
told such a good story.
Such a good, I did love that one too. Yeah, that
Yeah.
there was so many I loved.
Yeah. So anyway,
Mhm.
uh, goodbye MTV. We loved you while you were relevant. Like I said, you dominated our lives for
Mhm.
at least 10 to 15 years. Well, absolutely. I'm going to say absolutely my late middle school slash high school
Mhm.
years for sure.
Yeah,
So
tween to teens. Yeah,
between the
definitely.
teens. Yep. Good.
Mhm.
Okay. So that was one of the things that I contemplated this week. Um, Contemplated the No Kings rallies a lot. Great turnout yesterday. We were doing other things, unfortunately. Otherwise, we probably would have been standing out there with some snarky sign as well.
Mhm.
So saw some great stuff on social media yesterday about how
Mhm.
things went. So keep up the good work. Yes, it rained. That's my smart thing, and it rained a bazillion. I was also contemplating. I was looking at the front that was coming through. Massive low pressure system. If that had been in snow, whew, we wouldn't be going to
Woo.
school on Monday. Yeah, that would have been a big one.
Yeah, that would have been
Um,
something else.
and finally, this is the best thing, both smart and dumb. Okay, if you're in Westland, Michigan, you must go to Burger Corner. Burger Corner is on Michigan Avenue, and I can't remember what the cross street is, but it's a Shell gas station.
Merriman.
Merriman, thank you. It's a
Mhm.
Shell gas station, so it's on the corner of Michigan and Merriman. It's a Shell gas station and quite a nice liquor store. And
Mhm.
then there's like a little tiny like corner countertop for you to get burger because it's Burger Corner. And you should go there because number one, we walked in there and the gentlemen that were behind the counter they were like, "Oh, look at these beautiful women that are walking in." You're like, "What's happening?"
Exactly.
And then they make you this amazing burger. I judge anytime I go to a new place, I get a burger with pickles and cheese because that's a perfect burger. And if you can't get that right, you can't get a burger right. And that burger was great. It was cooked perfectly. It was juicy. It had just the right amount of flavor and fatty in it.
Mhm.
The pickles were sharp and yummy, and it was big. It had a sesame seed bun, which I loved. The
Mhm.
fries were amazing. This dude was not kidding. The guy behind the counter was like, "We have best fries in 4 cities." The 4 cities being Westland, Garden City, Inkster, and Wayne. Is
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
Westland,
Yeah.
Garden City, Inkster? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and they were perfect. They were hot and they were crispy on the outside and they had lots of seasoning salt on them. Oh,
Mhm.
they were good. But the cherry on the sundae, and this was Dawn, who we were with yesterday, found this place using the Google reviews. It's like a 4.9 out of
Yeah.
like 250 reviews, and it's legit. It's good. But they
Mhm.
have this thing called the hot Cheeto ball, and essentially what they do, I'm going to describe it. And those of you that are vegetarians or eat healthy, you're going to be sick to your stomach. Apologies in advance. They take chicken and cheese or beef and cheese and they form it into a ball and then they deep fry it. And then after they deep fry it, they take it out and then they roll it and crust it in flaming hot Cheetos and then they deep fry it again. And then they serve it to you in a little boat and then they put cheese on top of it. And I got to tell you, that fucking thing is good.
So good. They give you dipping sauce. Dipping sauce is completely unnecessary.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's shockingly delicious. It checks all of the boxes. It's creamy and crunchy and it's flavorful and
Mhm.
it's a little bit horrifying and we laid waste to those things.
We did, and the thing is, you have to eat it with your fingers because it destroys all silverware.
Resist it unless you have like super sharp metallic heavy duty
Ginsu knife.
ironclad, yeah, get you some sort of Ginsu knife. You're not, because we tried it with like our plastic knife and fork and it was like tink 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 tink. You're like, okay, let's go. Get your fingers in there. So yeah, it was both horrifying and delicious
Mhm.
and definitely after I finished consuming it, I definitely was questioning all of my life choices. Um
Yeah,
but
and Jenny and I split one, so yeah.
yeah, because they were big. It
Yeah.
was like that thing's baseball size, it's the size of a
Mhm.
baseball.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
yeah, that was good. And then the best part was he brought us after as we were eating, he brought us these cute four little baklavas for free. And like I said, it was just he's the guy that runs the show there is he wants you to be happy. He was attentive. He was it was great.
Mhm.
If you're in Westland, Burger Corner on the
Yeah.
corner of Michigan and Merriman, um, definitely get a burger and absolutely get the flaming hot Cheeto ball. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, and it was like, it was the thing. I worked in Wayne Westland for 14 years, and I gotta say, that was one of the nicest places I've ever eaten in Wayne Westland. I'm sorry, Wayne Westland,
I
but
actually have some thoughts on Wayne Westland, and I'm going to talk about that when we get to talking about our experience at Eloise. But
mhm,
yeah, I have some thoughts, and we'll
yeah.
get to those. So anyway, those are my smart, dumb, fun things for the week. Good job, Burger Corner.
Yeah,
Okay.
great job, Burger Corner. I was very
Yeah.
impressed. 2 thumbs up.
Hmm. Two enthusiastic thumbs up for the
Mhm.
Burger Corner. So, all right. And he's like, and you could tell he was a little bit like, I know we're only in gas station, but we tried to do well, and so and it did. They were
And it
great.
did. No, they did great. I was, and they have a great reputation. I mean, nothing else in Wayne or Westland had anywhere close to the rating they had, and it was clean and tidy, and they were enthusiastic, and
Yeah.
man, they cared about what they were doing. So,
Yeah, they've
food is
done a
love.
lot with a little.
Mhm.
They've done a
Yeah,
lot with a little. So good job, Burger Corner.
yeah,
Again, excellent, great job. So, all
excellent.
right. So let's talk about the reason we were even in Westland, Michigan yesterday.
Mhm.
Okay. So we were at the Eloise Asylum and we were doing their haunted history tour. So, Anne, why don't you take us through this brief description of the Eloise Asylum if you would like?
And this is a very brief description. I mean, this thing has over 100 years of history, almost 200 years of history. So this is an extremely brief description. The location has been a place where people with mental illness have been put since 1835. So this has a history of people going there, family members bringing people who had mental illness to this facility. It wasn't always called Eloise in 1835. It was not, but it has been a place for mental health. It was, I won't say mental health. Anybody with mental illness, it was a place where they could be left. We'll put it like that. It's located in Westland, Michigan, which is part of Wayne County, not too far from Detroit. Wayne County is huge. So at one point, this complex helped anybody in Wayne County. So this is a huge county. It was a huge facility. It became the Eloise Asylum in the late 1800s. And at one point, it was 900 plus acres. It was a complex. It wasn't just the mental health facility, but it was this big complex to help to support the mental health facility and the hospital. So it had a bakery, it had a laundry, it had a power plant, it had 2 cemeteries, it had a farm, it had an orchard, it had a piggery. So anything that you can think of that a small town would have, a post office, a bar, anything like that, this complex had, and it was over 900 acres. So Jenny has a picture up of basically what it looked like. Now it's down to 4 buildings. There's only 4 buildings left in this huge complex. In fact, where we had our lunch used to be part of the Eloise complex. So now it's, gas station, Kroger's, strip mall. Here's a picture of the only building left on Eloise complex where people can really go into. So that's the building that we toured yesterday. Its max, it had 10,000 residents during the Great Depression. So Jenny and I grew up in a town that had about 10,000 people in it. So it literally was a small town. This was big enough to be considered a town. So in the 1930s, that's when it was at its highest capacity of about 10,000 residents. The last patients were transferred out of the psychiatric hospital in 1982. And then there was a general hospital also on the campus, and that closed in 1986. There are only, there's 4 buildings left. There's the K. Beard building, which we toured. There's the fire station that once upon a time was a laundry. There's the commissary building, which is now actually a family homeless shelter, and a power plant. That is in disarray. It's slated to be torn down. The K. Beard building was used by Wayne County administration until 2016. And then I learned that the rest of the complex was sold to John Hambrick in 2018 for $1. So that's who owns it right now, is John Hambrick. And his plan supposedly is to turn this into a hotel, condominium, restaurant place. I would say they're having a hard time with that. In fact, there has been some talk that he is behind in paying his contractors. So I wouldn't be surprised if what we got to do yesterday is not going to be happening for much longer, based on what's going on in the current situation at Eloise. So that's an extremely brief history of
the picture I have up now is what's left of the power plant, and that is slated for demolition here within the next year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
All right. So yeah, that's it's an interesting and I would say powerful complex. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So we have a bunch of questions for one another when it comes to this. All right, and you want to start asking questions first, or do you want me to start asking questions?
You ask, because last time I asked you the question first, so you ask me a question first.
Okay, so questions for Ann on Eloise. Question number 1. So we went on this haunted history tour yesterday. What did you think of the haunted history tour of Eloise Asylum?
Well, the K. Beard building that we were in, it's the last big building on the campus. We got to see the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors. And by the time we got to the 4th floor, I was like, when does the history tour start?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. It was not a good history tour. It was not a good haunted or a good history tour. It was the kids, the two kids that were leading our tours had no knowledge other than what was written on a piece of paper for them. And I think they pretty much just Wikipedia'd it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say this, you know what they have going for them? They have this building going for them because the K Beard building on the Eloise campus is, it has so much presence and history and really bad vibes to it that, if you want to be scared just by standing in a place, that's the place to do it. It's full of, it's full of dark history, and you can feel that just being in the building.
From the second you walk in to that building,
exactly.
the
It's
second
not
you walk in, when
the
you're
second
climbing
you
the
walk in, you're like,
stairs.
oh, this place is sad. This place was never happy. This place, nothing good happened here. So yeah, as a haunted history tour, it would get a 1 out of 10. As a interesting place that I was really glad I got to visit, it got a 10. So there you go.
Cool. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I'm just going to stay with this because we both had the same first
We both
question
had the
for each
same
other.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved the experience. Like you, I've been driving by this place for years
Mm-hmm.
and wondered. We had actually talked about like going to the remains when it was still intact,
Right.
and that was just too scary for me. It was too scary
Yeah.
for me to be around that because you just never know what's going to pop up when you're,
Mm-hmm.
like we were talking about yesterday, that it felt like some sort of bad Stephen King novel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I didn't like you. I gave it a 1 out of 10 as far as being a tour. It was an
Mm-hmm.
afterthought. This whole complex, they have like an escape room that they do. They have a big haunted house thing that they do. And you can tell that's really where their focus is. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
that's where they make their money. I'm sure they don't make any money on these history tours, even though there were 60 of us on that tour yesterday.
Yeah.
And and that it wasn't inexpensive. Was it
No.
$60 to take the tour?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
$70, I think. By the time we got
Yeah.
tax and charges, it was like $70 a person to take that
Yeah,
tour.
and I did not feel like I got my money's worth on that at all.
Not not the though I to be in those buildings, I probably would have paid twice as much.
Probably.
Mhm.
Uh, I would say though, one of the things that I like about a history tour is learning some history along with it.
Yeah.
Their version of history was that they would tape some poorly copied facts to the
Mhm.
hallway that you were walking through, and that was not enough.
Yeah.
Um, they had some lame lobotomy demonstration.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it was disappointing. And you could tell the general mood of the group was, this is disappointing.
Yeah.
I was kind of walking, as we were sitting through the 15-minute middle school presentation on the history of Eloise. I was kind of looking around the room, and most of us were asleep. So
Yeah.
at that
Asleep or
point,
on your phone on our phones. I know I was on my phone. So,
yeah, yeah, because it was too torturous to sit and watch that young
mhm.
person go through reading the history off their computer, and they kept making mistakes and dropping stuff, and it was just
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, it was a little bit like watching my 7th graders do a speech, so
yeah.
it was I think
Um,
I think the person that did the reading got the short straw that day because they were completely unprepared.
yes. I'm
Mhm.
like, wait, that's due today? Okay, that's the kind
Yeah.
of vibe I got. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly what I got.
yeah, so the tour was lame. I would say I have some thoughts that I'll talk about later on,
Mhm.
or I'm going to ask you what you think eventually, what they should do, what
Mhm.
people should do if they're going to go to this. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, Anne, you finally got to go into Eloise. What were your takeaways from the experience? And I'm not just talking about the fact that it was super scary,
Mhm.
but when you were contemplating the things that we saw in there and some of the things that we learned, what were some of your takeaways from the experience?
Well, one of my first takeaway was that this whole tour was an afterthought. This history tour was an afterthought, and that I was not being led on a tour by people who respect history or are interested in history. And I believe that the company that's running this had no interest in history whatsoever. And you could tell when I went, because I went and like researched who owned this place. Is this owned by people? Is this owned by a historical society? Is this owned by the county? It turns out it was owned by an individual who's trying to make some money on it, because that building is going to take if you want to restore that building, you're going to need hundreds of millions of dollars to do it. And I don't think the person who owns it has that sort of money, and they're not going to get it doing escape rooms and haunted asylum tours in October. So
yeah, you need Ford money if you're gonna redo that building.
Yeah, because this building probably isn't, I don't want to say it's not worth saving, but it's probably too far gone to save. So it was just like my takeaway experience was that nobody involved with history has any sort of respect for this building, and it deserves a lot of respect. Nobody who was housed there in the psychiatric hospital was there because they wanted to be there, and it has a cloud, this constant fog of sadness, human sadness, and I think that deserves far more respect. It doesn't get any respect from the people who own the building, and I can't blame the tour guides, because they're kids. They were probably in their early 20s. So I think their focus was probably more on being at the haunted, doing the haunted asylum thing. But my takeaway was that I'm glad I got to go, because I wanted to experience this place. The experience of the place was really what I thought it would be, and it deserves so much more respect.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Your next question for me.
Jenny, why did you want to go on this tour?
Because I like history tours. And I really have been fascinated by this particular property for years. Like I spent a lot of time driving through Westland when I went to Eastern, and really you'd drive by that place and be like, oh, it's so cool. I want to go, but I don't want to go by myself because it's too scary. So this was a chance to sort of, take care of one of those things in your life that you like, an itch that you finally get to scratch. So I was really excited about that. So that's why I wanted to go on this tour. And it was also a good opportunity to hang out with people I really like. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So, and I'm going to jump down to this question. I'm going to jump to question 4. So we know that the dude wants to do something with the property that he can't afford to do it. He's behind on his bills. So if you could get a hold of the Eloise property, what would you do with it?
I tear everything down. I tear absolutely everything down, and I would make it into a park. A big, and I would, the park would be like, I'd have like not a maze, but what was that thing we had when we were in Wisconsin? We went to the park.
Labyrinth.
I'd have a labyrinth. I have a big flower labyrinth. I would have a wall around the entire park, not a high one, but a wall that basically had the names of every person who passed away that lived there, just to remember them. I'd have a memorial for them. I would try to make it a place where you could be peaceful, where you could enjoy nature, where you could, because a lot of, being with nature helps calm your mind, helps you relax. I would try to and I would hire a big enough staff to maintain it, to keep it from becoming, a place where people just, throw their junk and that sort of thing, so it could be maintained, so it could be a historical place where you could actually listen to a historical tour, where you could be peaceful and mindful and hear the birds, because it's a very urban area. There's not a lot of green space going on, and I would just tear that all down and make it a huge green space where people could enjoy it, where they could collect themselves, where they could see animals, hear birds, do the labyrinth, have outdoor yoga classes. That's what I would make it into. I'd make it into all the things that it couldn't do as a psychiatric facility to help people. That's what I would want it to do. I want it to be a calm, peaceful place, because it was never a calm, peaceful place. And if that building doesn't exist anymore, it's okay. If that complex, if that whole vibe doesn't exist anymore, that sadness, that's okay. Let's try to make it memorialize the people who suffered there and help the community get some mental balance.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because one of my takeaways from this tour was not just the sadness of Eloise, but this is going to sound weird, maybe, but I feel like that whole area is affected by that place.
I
Like
think so too.
that area basically grew up around Eloise, and I feel that sadness anytime. And I always felt that way about driving through that area. That particular area, be it Wayne, Westland, Inkster, Garden City, has always felt rough in a way that I could never really explain. Just
Mhm.
like you said, there's no green space. There's nothing. Everything always kind of feels sort of dead there. And I think maybe that complex has cast this pall over that area
Mhm.
so that the whole place is haunted. The whole area is haunted.
Mhm.
And I got that impression because at one point when we were walking through one of the floors, they had these big rooms. They called them twin rooms. These big rooms that were where they basically stored, 100 people a night, um, or more, depending on, you know, how because Eloise was also a poorhouse. So they would bring people in and they would have these rooms full of beds stacked up and people would stay there. And I can't even imagine how, I think it was either Amy or Dawn or you mentioned it, that what that must have been like at night, just chaotic with noise and people and families and babies and what it was not monitored. So, imagine that being this sort of free for all. And you had, just the vibe in the building is the vibe of the entire area.
Mhm.
And that was like I think getting rid of that and turning it into something like a could sort of help that area become something other than what it is. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And I think a lot of people, it's interesting when you say, the tour was full because that place has been a scary story for 200 years practically. This has always been
Yeah.
a space that people were afraid of. You didn't want to end up there. You didn't want to have family members there. You didn't want to go visit there, but you couldn't, but you were super curious about it. It was this it wasn't like people went there for tourism or you went to go shopping there or anything. It was this town that nobody visited unless you worked there or you had to be there. So
Hmm.
it was never, it's never been a happy place. And I think you're right. I think that whole area has always been marked by, you want to tell people where you are if you want to talk to somebody from Wayne County and you want to tell them where you are and you say Eloise, they know exactly where you are. And they have a family member that was in there, or they had a family member that was born in the general hospital, or they had a family member that worked there. It affected everybody in Wayne County.
Agreed. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's I think that's a great idea, Anne, of what you would
Hmm.
do with the property because I think it gives the entire community a chance to reset and it
Hmm.
becomes something. I guess it's a way of you're exercising the demons of that place because the
Yeah.
demons are they exist. They're there for sure.
Yeah, opening up a hotel or an apartment complex or a restaurant or any of that, it is not going to work. I can tell you that right now, John. It's not going to work. It won't let you.
No.
It won't let you. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
And we walked
So
through that building, and I was like, we had to sign this huge waiver. Huge. We signed a 3-page waiver. So about letting us. I'm like, and walking through that, I was like, this is going to take. If it takes $1 billion, I'm not exaggerating. That it might be what it takes. So
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, that place is well, and that's just the floors we visited because I can't
yeah.
even imagine what the attic and the basement must look like in that place. So
Yeah. So
rough. Yeah.
mhm.
All right. So question three for me, and go for it.
Jenny, what did you learn from our tour?
I learned that two things. Number A, mental institutions were horrible places.
Hmm.
I also learned from that thought that when you look at Eloise at the start and Eloise at the finish, they made significant improvements throughout in the sense that when people were first being admitted to Eloise, they were basically restrained and chained at all times. And then maybe 20 years after they opened the, their the guy that ran the place took the shackles off and the chains off, but it was no less terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And our tour guide talked about some of the people that were killed or died during their time at Eloise, and one of those is that one of the orderlies was convicted of. Well, he ended up killing one of the inmates. He didn't really pay for the crime. He basically was, convicted of assault, and then he went off to war. So he never really. But for every one of those stories that you hear about, I can't even imagine the number of stories that we don't hear about.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we went to the little lobotomy room, and the thought popped into my head of how many of those lobotomized were women,
Mm-hmm.
and we started looking up the statistics on women in lobotomies, and the majority were women. So they think maybe probably up to 75% of those that were lobotomized were women, and in Brazil it was more like 95% when they were using that technique. And so again, it became this idea of what were these places really? Were they trying to help people, or were they just places that we sent women because they might have had thoughts? And the ideas about how we have always looked at mental health, and that we don't address, and even now we still don't address mental health as being um physical ailment. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, if you're depressed, you should just go for a walk, you'll feel so much
Mm-hmm.
better, you should just exercise it out. And this entire facility was built on that premise that um we can treat you by, scrambling your brains or electrocuting you, but we're not, because that's going to reset everything. But we don't really
Right.
address it as being the physical ailment that it is, that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes things go wrong in your brain, and that there are physiological reasons for these things that happen.
Yeah.
And we are still so terrible as a society about
Mm-hmm.
how we treat mental illness. And I'm guilty of that. I am
Mm-hmm.
guilty of that because, again, that's how we were raised. We were raised
Mm-hmm.
that, well, you're just weak, or you're sad, or you're not
Right.
exercising, or you're eating the wrong things, when
Right.
you know, it's so much
Or
more than that.
or you just want attention. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Well, she just wants attention. And it was usually she just wants attention. I'm like, well, maybe you should give it to her. Give her some attention.
Well,
Maybe.
and so that was one thing that I learned. The other thing I learned was that they really had no clue.
Yeah.
Um, hey, we're gonna dip you in this. We're gonna put you in this hydrotherapy tub for 2 days because you're hysterical, or we're gonna put you in this hydrotherapy tub for 2 days because you're too calm, or we're gonna put you in this hydrotherapy tub with ice because you feel sad. It's
Yeah. Yeah, they had like the same. It was funny because they're like, well, you get a cold shower for 2 hours because you are, what do they call excited? Or we're going to put you in this cold shower for 2 hours because you're depressed. I'm like, well, aren't those two different things? So maybe you shouldn't treat two opposite things the exact same way. And, it was just it was like, I got an idea. Let's try it on 10,000 people. And then if it doesn't work, we'll keep trying. That was the whole thing with the thing. Like, I didn't realize, like, the first x-ray machine was at Eloise. The first x-ray
Mhm.
machine in Michigan, I think, was in Eloise. I'm like, okay, so you do understand modern technology, but when it came to mental health, it was like, I have a great idea. Let's, it doesn't make any sense. I've never tested it. I don't know why it would work, but you know what? Nobody cares if we test it on these people because their families put them here and then never saw them again. So it's okay if we test everything on these people. And that's what it was. You could tell it was just like, we're going to throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. Nothing sticks. Nah, we spent all this money. Let's keep going.
Let's keep it going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right. So, Ann, I'm gonna ask. We're kind of hitting
mhm,
we got about 11 minutes left here. So, okay. So here we go. All right. So people that are gonna listen to this know that the tour that we went on was the capital of lame. But
mhm,
if you decide that you still want to go as a
mhm.
patron, and what would you tell people? What would you tell them about going on this tour? What would you recommend?
If you are interested in this tour from a history or haunting aspect, skip it. If you are interested in seeing this building that you have heard about most of your life or seen or driven by because you want to be in the building, then go. If you do go, the tour is way too long. So bring water and snacks, Wear closed-toed shoes. Don't ask any questions because your tour guides will not know the answer. So have your phone handy so that you can Google the answers yourself. Or you can just know that the place is sad. There's nothing in it that you wouldn't expect, and you should buy some books and read about it.
Your $70 and buy some books and read about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would totally
exactly.
agree with that. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, I would say, yeah,
Hmm.
don't go. Just
Hmm.
don't go.
Yeah.
All right. And this is my last question.
What changes would you like to see made to this tour, Jenny?
Well, for starters, I would like to see it be 2 hours. And okay, for number one, can you please start on time? Can you please not start your
Start
tour
a
a
half
half
an
hour
hour
late?
late. Yeah.
Half an hour late. Um, the other thing is, I would love it if you had some history on the tour.
Hmm.
There are little bits of history there and there. A lot of what I picked up from was just the stuff that they had
Hmm.
taped to the wall. That's where I got the majority of my
Hmm.
history. And then reading about history while the dude was telling us about the history
Hmm.
during the history portion of
Version of
it.
it.
And frankly, I would just like something that has a tour that has just you acknowledge me and anything I might need as a patron. Like I said,
Hmm.
we were this was what turned out to be a 2.5 hour tour, but it was
Hmm.
slated to be a 3 hour tour. Um, that took very little time to care for the people on the tour.
Hmm.
Um, there needed to be breaks. There
Hmm.
needed to be bathroom time. There needed
Hmm.
to be snacks and water.
Hmm.
And I know that sounds like, but for $70, you can give me a fucking package of goldfish and a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. No, exactly.
And yes, we're spoiled because we've been on so many amazing Detroit history
Hmm.
tour stuff, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But really, there was just like, yeah, here you guys are. There's this place. I really have things to do, and I really don't want to be here. That
Hmm.
was the vibe I got. The other thing is that the place is fucking garbage filled. You go around
Yeah.
the grounds. We took a little walk around the grounds to look at some of the buildings, and there was fucking garbage everywhere. I'm like,
Everywhere.
get your people out there and empty the fucking garbage can that was heaping with garbage and pick up the garbage around here and maintain your parking lot a little bit. It just looked like it was run by a bunch of dirt bags, and I fucking hate that.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the part that, like, it looked like North Side, after a party. It's
Hmm.
just like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, um, I would tell people that if you're thinking of going on this tour, don't go. Don't go on this tour. Don't give these assholes your money. Give the money to places that where you can buy cool books about Eloise. But yeah, I was a little steamy McSteamerton afterwards, and I was doing okay, and literally like 5 minutes before we were done, I looked over and saw all this garbage sitting over there, and I was like, "That's it, that's it, that's the I'm like triggered." That pushed me right over the edge.
Hmm. Well, and the thing is, like, if you want to go and learn about Eloise, there's a historical society in Westland that has all of this information about Eloise. They have artifacts. Go there. They're open on the weekends. Go to that place. There's people there that give a shit about Westland history, unlike the people who own and operate this facility now. They couldn't care less about history. So if you're
Mhm.
interested in history, um, don't go. Don't go.
Yes.
It's sad, and I can see why they gave us a three page form to sign, because I'm not positive that those buildings are that building is safe for human occupancy.
Absolutely not. There were a couple places we went to. I'm like, not sure I should be here.
Exactly. I'm like, I think this place is full of lead and asbestos.
Oh, so much lead and
Lead and
asbestos. That's all I
asbestos.
could think as I was looking at the paint down the walls. I'm like, don't eat those paint chips because they
Exactly.
full of lead.
They full of
Yeah.
lead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
God. Okay, so Anne, we've talked about how much we disliked this tour. Where should we go for better tours? Go ahead and
Okay.
start.
All right. If you want to go on a great haunted history tour, check out Detroit History Tours at detroithistorytours.com. Everything, all that was wrong with the tour we went on yesterday will be right with this tour. And they have lots of different types. If you're not interested in history, haunted, you just want Detroit history, women's history in Detroit, African American history in Detroit, anything.
Food.
Or if you're not in Detroit, wherever you are, if you're in your own small town, your own town, whatever, Google history tours, and you will get lots of suggestions. And I suggest that if you really want a good history tour, you need to go through an organization that has historians in it, or through a museum. So the nice thing about Detroit History Tour, all those people that are on staff are historians. I mean, Chelsea, Michigan has a walking haunted history tour, and we're a town of like 6,000 people. So there's plenty of places where you could go, and it's run through the Chelsea Historical Society. Tons of places you could go to get great history, to really learn, to maybe even get a little scared. So Google it. I mean, I can't tell you how much I Googled on the tour itself just to find things out. So
And read the reviews, that's for sure, because
yeah,
that's again, Detroit History Tours is the cream of the crop because again, not only are they a bunch of history nerds, but they do a great job of taking care of the people that are
they
on there.
do.
You want for nothing on those history tours. If you need a snack, there are snacks available. They have water available. They give you Vernors, they give you chips. You make stops on the tours that allow you time to go and walk around, have a break. When you go on the haunted history tour, there's 2 different bars you go to, which is a
Mhm.
ton of fun because not only are the bars haunted, but then they have a delicious beverage waiting there and, pumpkin custard for crying out loud. Sorry.
Exactly.
And again, in terms of the money you pay, it's the same money.
Yeah.
You're going to pay it might be maybe $5 more to do one of the Detroit history tours. I don't even think I think it's actually less.
Yeah, I think
And
so
to
too.
get this really great experience that you walk away going, not only did I have a great time, I learned so much and I was well taken care of. A still good experience, but a less supreme experience is the Viator tours in Chicago. They do a really great bus tour. They have a haunted history tour that's pretty cool. Not as good because they don't take care of you quite as well, but it's still really interesting. There's walking around, there's things to do. You go to New Orleans, there are a couple different ghost tours you can go on. There's food tours, there's walking tours, there's bus tours. Skip the tours in Vegas. Just go to Vegas to get drunk and gamble. Don't go on any of the tours because they're all lame. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I've been on great ghost tours in San Diego, Philadelphia, New Orleans. Yeah, I've been on tons of great ghost tours, history tours. Just again, look at reviews. Just
Yeah. Look at the
so
reviews. And again, this just didn't happen to be a good tour. So
yeah,
we're forewarning you. And I plan to leave a wordy review on Google about this because I really
me too.
think that, I'm like, I'm not going to let you get away with this.
Hmm.
Eloise history tours, you
Yeah,
jags. So
yeah.
there you go. All right.
Hmm.
Here's a quick bit. Eloise in pop culture. If you're interested, the Discovery Channel has a show called Expedition X, which is hosted by Josh Gates. He did a 2-part episode on Eloise. So it's season 6, episodes 1 and 2. And when interviewed about this tour, he basically said he would never set foot in Eloise again. So whatever happened, and we haven't watched it yet because we just
Hmm.
learned about this yesterday, that it spooked him. So
Yeah,
there you go.
there
Anyway,
you go.
so fun stuff, Eloise, pop culture. So there you go.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
there
Jenny,
we
the books.
go.
We didn't talk about the books. We have to
Oh,
go
I got
back
to
and
talk
talk
about the
about the
books.
books.
All right,
Yeah, 'cause
books. There we go.
Okay, so here's 4 books that I found. Eloise Asylum, The History, the Humanity, and the Haunting by Cassandra St. Croix. This sounds like the most up-to-date book, and I'm very curious about this. Eloise Poorhouse Farm, Asylum, and Hospital, 1839 to 1984 by Patricia Ibbotson. This one is not as up-to-date, but they usually do pretty good books. Annie's Ghosts, A Journey into a Family Secret, is not just about Eloise, but includes Eloise. And then Amy showed me this one. Amy, who we went with on the tour with yesterday. History of Eloise, Wayne County, and Wayne County Asylum by Stanislaus Keenan. So here's 4 books. Spend your money on this, then, and get yourself a nice cup of coffee, and then read with the lights on. So there you go.
Indeed.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was nothing in the tour. Yeah, the building was interesting, but not something that I would ever want to see again or
Hmm.
experience again because it left an
Oppressively,
impression.
it was
Yeah,
oppressive.
it was oppressive. I was happy to leave. I was
Mhm.
glad. I wanted to leave a half hour before we did, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I kept at one
Um,
point I kept like getting a little freaked out because I'm like, and I wasn't freaked out because I was scared. I was freaked out because this place is bad.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and at one point I found myself I'm like, I just want to go get we went out to get some one of the reasons I wanted to go out and get the Pringles out of the car is that I just needed to get the fuck out of there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because so like we did the tour part and then we had like 10 minutes before they did the 15-minute lame ass history presentation, and so we went out to the car to get the Pringles out of the car because I wanted some snack.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was just so happy to get out of there. I'm like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, I don't want to go back in.
Hmm. Yeah.
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 So yeah. All right. So lots to keep you busy in terms of thinking about Eloise and haunted history tours and so forth. But well done, you guys. You have spent an hour or so learning things about stuff with the brothers sisters. This week, you learned about the Eloise Asylum haunted history tour. We talked to you a little bit about Eloise itself. Look, we have a comment. Let's talk about that. This is Diana Markley.
Oh,
Lots
hey,
of ghosts
Diana.
and sadness there. Yes,
Yeah.
Diana, that is an
Yes.
understatement. So many ghosts and sadness.
So much sadness. Yeah. If it isn't haunted, I don't know then how anything couldn't be haunted. I don't know how that place couldn't be haunted.
Yeah, I don't either. Diana, it's great to see you too.
Great to see you too, Diana. I miss you.
Right on. Yes. So yeah, and we would love to hear more. If there's different sorts of tours and history things that you've been on, please tell us, you guys. Yeah, we want to hear from you. Answer our questions in our polls, leave comments, give us your questions, concerns, comments, and
confessions.
That's right, confessions. Remember, you guys, you can like, subscribe, leave a review, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Yeah. You can comment about Ann's new crown. So I love that. So yeah, put the word out to your friends. Let them know that we're here and we're talking about things and stuff. Absolutely. Join us next week. Hang on, I got to turn on the super awesome music. I'm in the wrong place. There we go. I'm in the right place now. Wait, nope. What happened to my music? There it is. Okay. Yes, join us next week when we close out Spooktoberfest. I know, I can't believe we're already coming to the end. We're going to talk about ghost stories, and we are going to pair those with our favorite ghost story cocktails. That's right. That's next week. In the meantime, you guys, have a great week. Stay dry out there. I'm Genise Brothers, and with me is my sister.
Ann Brothers.
That's right. And we want you to get out there, do something smart, do something dumb, do something fun. We are out of here.
Bye.